just feel free to keep your, your icon up rather than your face and your camera. Everybody, my name is Pat Doherty, and it's my privilege to kind of open and at least MC a bit of this program. Trina, the current coordinator, isn't going to be able to be here until possibly later, so she asked me if I could kind of open things and start the ball rolling. I said I would be happy to do that. I have been involved in THT since the beginning, since it started in the, back in 2004, when discussions were taking place. And then our first program was in Bangladesh back in 2005. I'll be talking a little bit about THT. Now, I recognize that a lot of us are THTers, or we've been working with THT, so maybe you don't need the whole overview, but some people might be new and might be popping in to kind of just find out about it. So I'm going to be talking a little bit. Let me share my screen. Make sure I'm using, there we go. Okay, so let's kind of go through this. Okay, hold on. Just wanted to make sure that I had that. Yes. Okay. Okay. There we go. Anyway, you kind of know what the forum is. We've had an interesting year in THT, as well as I think the whole world has had an interesting and maybe in so many ways unfortunate year, 2020, because of COVID. We ended up having to cancel quite a few of our programs, but other programs we were able to take into the virtual world. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that. This is the agenda. I'm going to do a little introduction now. We'll talk a bit about the different programs. I have Bangladesh, Kyrgyzstan, Vietnam, and the Philippines because those people were listed for having speakers or wanting to speak to those programs. We might have other programs also. We do have a program in Nepal. We have a program, of course, in Laos, and so we will also, hopefully, if somebody is here and who wishes to speak about those, fine. Otherwise, I will talk a little bit about it just to give you some background. After we're done with that, we'll be going on and having our annual general meeting. And honestly, just THT members need to be involved in that. It's basically kind of our little business meeting where we'll go through our budget and talk about the officer elections. I'll talk a bit about the journal and the newsletter, okay? So that's basically what we have. I like to remind everybody about this man, Bill Bosamo. He was the founder of Teachers Helping Teachers. And Bill was one of these interesting, if you met him, you'd say, oh, he's an introvert. And in many ways he was. But he was, as an introvert, he was very thoughtful. And he always had this idea that he wanted to be of service and have his life be beneficial. And so one of the things that he did among many, and when I say many, I mean Bill sponsored orphanages. He helped to build dormitories for schools. So he did a lot. But one of the things that we are gathered here today because of is the fact that he founded Teachers Helping Teachers. And that started out of a conversation that he had with a president of BELTA, the Bangladesh English Language Teachers Association, and Professor Arifa, and he met at a conference in Korea. And Bill had already been involved in Bangladesh. I believe he was working with a school there and kind of in the process of helping to build an orphanage. And he asked Dr. Arifa, what do you need? What would be helpful to the teachers of Bangladesh? And she said, well, teacher training, because it's not often available to the teachers that we have in Dhaka and the environs. And so Bill said, well, what if I brought a group of teachers to put on like a teacher, kind of facilitated a teacher development program, a conference basically for teachers. And Arifa said that would be excellent. And so we didn't even have the name Teachers Helping Teachers at the time. We were basically, like FOB, Friends of Bill. And it was just a small group of about 5 of us ended up going to Bangladesh that first time, I believe 2005, and put on a conference. And we thought it would be a one-off thing. And so we were originally told maybe there'll be 40, maybe 50 teachers there. And then there ended up being, I think it was more than double that amount. It was probably like 180. And the experience in Bangladesh with Bangladesh English Language Teachers Association was so overpoweringly positive. So kind of a wonderful experience for the presenters, and also I think it was an experience that Belta wanted to have again, that they invited us to come back. And so Bill kind of met with us and said, well, okay, well, if we're going to be something going on to the future, we need a name. And Teachers Helping Teachers was the selection, because it encapsulates what we try to do. Most of us were working in the classroom, we're teachers, and we are reaching out to try to help other teachers in the area of the Pacific and other regions of the world. And so, Bill unfortunately passed away in 2008 from cancer. And for the last 12 years, we've kept the spirit alive. Originally, we were not directly associated with JALT, but then what we tried to do after Bill's passing to make sure that THT could continue successfully into the future was become a SIG. We did that, and here we are 12 years later, keeping the faith, even adding programs. And I'm sure Bill would be very proud of what we've accomplished, but it was his idea. And I think his spirit is still very much motivating all of us in our endeavors with Teachers Helping Teachers. I want to talk a little bit about the Bangladesh program, because I've been very honored to work as a coordinator for this program on the THT side for a number of years. We had our 14th program actually just about 2 weeks ago. And it was unique in the sense that it was a virtual program. We did it all on Zoom. My university, Akita International University, donated an educational Zoom account so we could do this. And then we worked with Belta and were successful in putting this on. And you can see that we had 8 presenters. Some of them are here tonight. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment because I want to introduce someone. Dr. Rabina Khan is the current president of BELTA, the Bangladesh English Language Teachers Association. And what I would like to invite Professor Khan to do is maybe talk about the THT BELTA partnership that has been thriving for all these many years now. So Professor Khan, please, if you can.
Thank you, Pat. I'm really honored to say something about this prestigious THT BELTA program. It has been a huge pleasure and tremendous gain for BELTA to be in this unique partnership with THT Forum since 2005. It is unique in many ways because the experts or the facilitators or the specialists came to Bangladesh. They funded their own travel and accommodation, which is unheard of, unparalleled, and they shared their expertise with the Bangladeshi teachers. And this was just, it is just when we try to describe this partnership, words fail us. We do not find the appropriate words to describe this voluntary spirit, which is so unique. We were so overwhelmed because these select group of educators, they brought the conference to the doors of people in Bangladesh who were unable to go to a conference because they did not have the resources. So it was especially unique. Now, I would like to remember Bill with a lot of gratitude because, as Pat mentioned, he was the one who initiated this program. He had met Dr. Arifa, past President Belta, South Korea during the Asia TEFL conference, and they struck a friendship. And as Pat narrated, the story started there. And ever since, it has been a story of success, a journey of success. So far, Belter and THT have had 14 teacher development seminars or workshops. And till date, we have trained 3,300 plus teachers and beneficiaries belonging to different schools, colleges, universities, madrasas, not only in the metropolis city, Dhaka, but all over the regional cities, in quite a significant number of regional cities of Bangladesh. The pattern is like this, that usually we have a 2-day long, initially we had 3-day long seminars, but later on we decided, the program decided to move on to the regional cities. So we had a 2-day long session at Dhaka, and then, which is the capital of Bangladesh, and then the group of facilitators, they went into the regions, and they've been to almost over more than a dozen regions of Bangladesh. They have traveled, and it has kind of the flavor of, I would say, a traveling conference, because people would be very excited and they would call up Belter Central and say, oh, can we have the THT program in my region, in my city? So everybody, waits eagerly for this program. At Dhaka, we wait for it. And in the regions, as soon as one THT program ends, we have phone calls. Can we have last year we had the THT session at Chittagong? Can we have it in Kumilla this time? Can we have it at Narayanganj? So the enthusiasm is remarkable, and the regional teachers have really benefited a lot by interacting with the facilitators when they visit their regions. So it has been a huge success, I would say. So I would like to repeat again that this unique spirit of volunteerism, dedication, exemplary zeal of the THT team members is really unheard of. Whoever we talk to, their eyes pop out. Is it really? Is it happening? Do people come spending their own money? I said, yes, they do. So this is just absolutely wonderful. And I would like to say something more about this year's virtual THT development event. When Pat said we are going to go hold it virtually, I was a little bit skeptical. I wasn't sure, maybe because my technical skills are not that good. And I thought, oh, there might be technical issues. Our connectivity may drop out. We may have a lot of problems. But this was such a successful program by all means. I cannot just put it into words. It was excellent. The facilitators, their topics were spot on, very pertinent, very timely. And I have loads of feedback from the participants. We had over 150 participants all over from Bangladesh, and some of them joined us from abroad. So it was a huge success. And honestly speaking, when we've had these face-to-face THT programs, I've been there, but I've been in and out. I've not been able to participate in all the sessions. But this time, except the last one where I had to, there was a personal hiccup. I couldn't attend the last one. I stayed through all the sessions, and I enjoyed, I learned, and I can understand when the feedback which was sent to me, this will be shared in our Belter newsletter about the THT program, that they all learned a lot from these sessions, because the sessions were kind of mixed, or ERT, emergency response teaching, to intercultural communication, online writing activities, to publication, just to name a few. And MA students also had the opportunity to participate in this program, and they have written sent me glorious tributes about the program, which I'm going to share with Pat. So I just would like to say that it has absolutely marvelous, this program. And, there have been great takeaways from this year's virtual program. I would like to end by saying that the THT program seminar series is Belter's flagship program, and we are extremely proud of it. And as I said earlier, we eagerly wait for this annual event. And I'd like to congratulate team leader Patrick Doherty, and his team for consistently delivering a high quality teacher development program and thus contributing to the professional development of teachers in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Khan. That was lovely. I'm speechless now, which is really rare for me. So, but thank you very much. It's been a great, in fact, maybe we shouldn't call it a partnership. It's more of a friendship, I think, between our institutions in so many ways. But I have told people, and I mean, I'm completely serious about this, if it wasn't for Belta and the warmth and reception we received back in 2005, I don't think we would have been THT. Basically, they gave us the encouragement to become the organization that we are today. So I think we owe Belta a note of gratitude for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. I'm not going to switch back to my PowerPoint because basically we're just kind of going through. I want to thank Dr. Khan again for joining us from Dhaka this evening. Well, afternoon for you. It's 3 hours, 3 hours earlier. And let's then hear, as I'm going through the different countries, why don't we hear from Brent? Would you be ready for Kyrgyzstan, or do you need a few more minutes?
No, I think we're here.
Okay.
Kenji's all set. She has her slides. If that doesn't work, she sent me a copy. So
okay.
Yeah, I think we can turn it over to Kenji.
Okay, hello.
There she is. Yay. So maybe just before Kenji starts, I'll explain a little bit about the program. We got started, I believe it was in 2009. There was a graduate student in Kobe from Kyrgyzstan who had studied Japanese in Bishkek, the capital. And she was auditing one of my classes, and I had just come back from a THT program in the Philippines. And I was telling my students about it, and I said off the cuff, or I just said offhand to this student from Kyrgyzstan, maybe your school would be interested in hosting a program like this. And she said right away, I'll check. And a week later, I came to class and she said, yeah, they want to do it. So I had to get out my map and look at where is Kyrgyzstan. But I think the first year it was just Roger Palmer. Roger just logged on. It was just the two of us, and we were hosted by, at that time it was called Bishkek Humanities University. And then we've done a program every year. And there's a couple people who have participated here. Greg Ruwald, who's in Hiroshima now, he participated. And Cecilia, we almost had her there, but she had trouble with the visa. From the, I believe it was the second year that we were there, we heard about this program, this organization called Forum, which is at that time, and I believe they're still calling themselves the Kyrgyz English Language Teachers Association. And so it's a kind of counterpart to JALT. I met with the coordinator at that time, and we mentioned, there was a lot of skepticism, like, who are you guys? What are you doing here? What is this? But they decided to take a chance on us. And I don't know, Roger can probably clarify, was it the second or third year that we added Forum?
Yeah, it wasn't the first year, but I was going to say that I remember very clearly the first year when we went to seal the relationship with the dean from Bishkek Humanities University and Nami Sensei, the head of the Japanese department, that the way they seal the relationship in Kyrgyzstan is they took us to a yurt, and of course it was in the city, so it wasn't a countryside yurt, it's kind of like a fixed one. And we sealed and cemented the relationship with vodka shots. And that was, and Kenji's laughing there, but that was the way that we actually cemented that relationship. And as I said, I remember clearly now. At the time, I didn't have a clear head, but anyway.
And they invited us back. Yeah, so very similar to Pat's story. You know, we got a warm welcome. They invited us back, and then we did add forum, and we started doing. I believe at the beginning it was just a one-day program, and then forum started to invite us also to different regions, and so we would do a one-day event in Bishkek in the capital, and then we would do another day in a different part of the country. And so that program has been going in parallel, again, from the second or third year. And Kenji is now one of the main coordinators, has been one of the main coordinators of Forum. She has just done so much. She's used to teach at the Gymnasium number 24 school. She's the former English teacher at Diplomatic Academy of Kyrgyzstan, former education coordinator at Arabov Kyrgyz State University. And I could keep going, but I don't want to take up too much of her time. So I'd like to introduce everyone to Kenji. If you ever come to Kyrgyzstan with us, she's the one. She's the one who takes good care of us.
Thank you for a nice introducing. So it was nice to see you all, dear THT members. And also it was very pleasant to know about how JALT was, JALT maybe, was formed, and it has very interesting story to follow. And also that it's nice to see that your THT was conducted in various countries like Bangladesh and other countries, and it was nice to hear their story as well. So I think I'm not able to share my presentation.
You can't share?
No, that is saying that host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, maybe I can do it from mine. I can make you.
Okay.
You know what I'll do is I'll share my screen, and then you can just tell me when to.
Well, we could.
Actually, who's hosting this meeting? Because they can.
I am.
Yeah,
I don't know why that happened. It actually happened in another meeting.
Can we can we make her the co-host, and then
yeah, I can make her a co-host.
Okay,
I just have to find her.
Let's do that.
Oh, sorry, I unmuted myself, but I was speaking.
Kenji, I thought you were a technical expert.
Try it again.
Can you try now? Can you try now, Kenji?
I still get to sign this as host to say.
So now I think I'm okay to go.
Yeah, try.
Yes, I am. Yes. Now I can share the presentation. It says. Okay. So are you on the same page as I am?
We can see.
Yes. Okay. So here is THT Kyrgyzstan. So actually THT has very interesting story, as Brent already mentioned about it, how they started to cooperate with Forum, Foreign Language Teachers Association, where I work as a coordinator and as a vice president currently. So they started to work quite a long time ago, but I have joined for the first time. What you see in the picture, it says my Facebook reminded me previously that it was 6 years ago. So as you see, we were fit and young here. So then, yes, this year I participated as a participant, and then I saw that first I heard about THT, and then I found their presentations and workshops very helpful, and then I keep asking when will be the next, and then after that I started volunteering to organize their workshops with Forum. And then, so who doesn't know Kyrgyzstan? This is just we are in this map, and we are bordering with China and Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and we we always have troubles when we travel, that if we say we are from Kyrgyzstan, nobody has idea what country it is. And when we say we are next to China, they say, okay, I see that. Or we say that we are part of the Soviet Union, and then they say, oh, it is Russia, and so on. That's why, for any case, just to know what is Kyrgyzstan. So it is in Central Asia, it is situated. So actually THT has been in Bishkek. Last year we visited Karakol, and previously they visited Osh and Jalalabad as well. And we were planning with them that to travel Naryn and other, to discover other oblasts of our country. Actually, we have 7 oblasts, and I hope these days will come soon. So we are nomadic people, and I would like to show this video just to have idea what is Kyrgyzstan, what Kyrgyzstan is, and also about our nomadic culture. As you see, we are a mountainous country, and 90% of our land is mountainous, and people, the lowest part we are living is 1,600 meters above the sea level. And I'm here, Kenje Sultanbayeva. Currently, I am a forum member, and also I work as a project manager for Elbrus Foundation Public Fund. Now I am taking care for wildlife as well. And so English, and also I keep teaching as an English tutor, and also I used to work as an English teacher at school number 24 and at British Study Centers. So, and also that is a work which I have done. So that's me. And of course, when THT comes, we always, we start planning maybe half a year ago what to do, what to discover, what to cover, and the topics, and how many attendants they are expecting to have, what places to be chosen, what teachers, and so on. And when they arrive at the city, we always have plannings, talking face to face. So, and always THT workshops and trainings goes in an organized way, which I like best of all. Then, as you see that me, how I'm participating actively in all THT seminars. And also you see that local teachers like to take photos with THT stars. Always they spend after the seminars 1 or 2 hours taking photos with teachers, because they keep following them to take pictures with them. It means that they really like these people and they would like to see them more and more. So, and also here is Yoko, and Yoko also shares some Japanese cultures of taking photos, a part of her trainings. So always when THT comes, the hall will be full of people, full of teachers. And as you've noticed, that majority of our teachers are female, which maybe THT like most of of that. So that actually it is, I think, cultural or what, but the teachers are here, female ones. Men, they don't prefer to be teachers. I don't know why. But from year to years, there are some male teachers are joining to us. And we always limit the number of participants, but despite of that, there are plenty of teachers who want to join THT, because now they know quite well about THT seminars, and they want to learn more and more things from them. That's why they would like to join them every year. So that last 2 years ago, we celebrated 10 years of THT coming to Kyrgyzstan. And then we are very grateful that non-stop within 12 years now, they are including Kyrgyzstan and choosing us and sharing their knowledge and experiences with us. We are so thankful for that. And that is from the part of the seminars, how dedicated THT teachers are motivating the locals to teach English as a second language and to love teaching. So a lot of things we have learned from Brand and Rogers. They are very famous THT people in Kyrgyzstan. Everybody knows about them, and also except of conducting the trainings, they are always open to share and support us anytime when we have some questions about teaching. And also I like Brand's ideas about engaging students in ESL classrooms. And Roger, people always, the participants say that Roger's presentations are always engaging and interesting, and they learn a lot of them. And as you see, the room is full of participants. And at the end of each seminars, we try to organize something cultural in order to share our culture. And here you can see a guy playing our musical instrument, komus. And because not only learning them, also we would like to share part of our culture through these workshops as well. And as THT knows, that our teachers love getting certificates, shaking the hands of these wonderful teachers. So you see so many, certificate is a paper, but as you see that so many knowledges were shared, and it is a symbol of that. And you see so many satisfied people with a smile on their faces, and it is nice to see that. And also we have done once that as a cultural share, we taught them to dance our national Kharajorga dance, and we had fun. So again, selfie time. So 2019, for the first time, I've joined them as a speaker, and we visited Karakol branch of Forum FLT, and it was my first time presenting with them. So, and here I wanted to say that they have several sessions, parallel sessions at once, but unfortunately our teachers want to participate in each of them. But I think maybe we will somehow take this into account, because there are 3 topics at one time, and they would like to visit at least 2 of them, and then they are missing some of them. It will be difficult to them to choose sometimes. Sometimes I think it is okay, but sometimes it is difficult to choose because many topics are, you know, very interesting for them, and they would like to learn a lot. And also we would like to show around Kyrgyzstan to these wonderful people, and we will take some places. Here, as you can see, Burana Tower here, and it's around of Burana Tower, and just taking photos again with local people, and they talk to them. And also local peoples know about what is THT and how the teachers are working in Japan and what is possible to do here and so on. So nice tea time also can be good for sharing ideas and making plans. And also as a cultural thing, they were happy to visit World Nomad Games 2018. Here the THT guys, we took them and we had some dinner, lunch in the yurts, that is our cultural national house. and also that baking breads, and also a golden eagle with a golden man. So that is, but as I mentioned before, that there are so many things to learn from them, but as we have to divide into several groups, we are missing some of them. That's why forum makes a room for the teachers to share what they have learned from the THT. There's several, after they had these sessions, we always have some discussions at our seminars, and we share what we have learned, what is possible to do, and so on. And always we have local trainers, and we've learned from THT that not only to stay in the capital city and to develop teachers there, we learned also to travel around the Kyrgyzstan. And here is we visited 600 kilometers far from capital city. This town is situated, and we shared teaching skills with them. So that is how the forum also organizes annual trainings, Saturday sessions, and then at the end of the years they will gain certificates. So here the local trainers will be invited. And at the end of my presentation, I would like to say that united we stand, that THT is giving us power, and we feel very supported, and we learn from them a lot, and we would like to share those knowledge with the other teachers who really need our support. So thanks for your attention. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
If you could stop sharing your screen.
Sorry, stop sharing. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. It was a nice overview of so many things about the country and the program. Brent, any other words before we move?
Just to follow up, like Pat did up in Akita for the Bangladesh program, we did go online. The one thing, and I think actually we're also learning, but we did try to we did it online, we did it via Zoom, and we had 3 concurrent sessions going over 2 days. And what I liked from Pat's work with Bangladesh, having them one at a time, I think that worked really well. Everybody got to see all of them. I think if we were to do it again, we could do the concurrent sessions, but making them available, making recordings available. I think this is the power of the online platform. So like Kenji said, if a teacher happened to miss something, they could go on and watch the video, and it's maybe the best of both worlds. So we might, even when we get back face to face, it might be nice to keep some of these parts of the online program.
Yeah, I think one thing, with the pandemic, with the switch of education to online, we've learned so much about the technology that I think we should take advantage of what we think is positive about it going forward. It might be ways that we could, instead of just only having one program in person per year, we could also have some other maybe smaller events, but online, that would be easier to arrange. So throughout the whole year, you would have opportunities for faculty development. So, okay.
So you're gonna keep us real busy, are you?
Yeah, that's what the intention is. You've signed up for life here. Oh, by the way, I just need to mention this, but I always like to joke about this thing, that I have a few, things that I've signed up for life. One is my marriage, and the other one is the fact that I am actually a lifetime member of BELTA, the Bangladesh English Language Teachers Association. They had a lifetime membership, so I said, okay, I'll take that.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anything else we want? Otherwise, we'll move on to.
just one thing.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, just that when we moved to online for the Kyrgyz seminar this year, we were able to get participation from people who've never been able to go there before, who've wanted to, but there's a clash. For example, they go to Bangladesh every year, but they haven't been able to go to Kyrgyzstan and vice versa.
Yes.
And we were also able to get real-time participation from people in other countries. Like we had a speaker from Indonesia, for example, who was able to join us. And that opened up a lot of opportunities. And I thought, like you were just saying, perhaps in person plus online allows us to do things that we've never considered before.
Yes, yeah, I think we've learned a lot over the last few months. Of course, been forced to learn a lot, but we should then, there's so many positive things about the online venue and about what we can do to kind of help us expand our mission. So I think we should think about that as a way to augment what we do. So okay, good.
Yes, one thing.
Yes, please.
Oh. Plenty talked about certificates. I just wanted to share that, yes, certificates with participants are a big hit over here. They eagerly wait for the certificates, and this time we send them e-certificates. So participants appreciated that a lot. I just wanted to share this. They were very pleased with the e-certificates.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, there are all sorts of things that we're learning that we can do now, and I remember when. Way back, remember February 2020, when we were talking about how are we going to move online, we were telling our teachers, okay, well, we're going to use Zoom. Nobody knew what Zoom was. And a lot of our teachers had never done anything with online education at all. And yet over the course of the semester and now into the fall at our university, older faculty near retirement, young new faculty, everybody now seems rather proficient with it. So, we've learned a lot. And I think we've discovered the capabilities of the online venues, and there are lots of things that we can do to stay in touch, I think. So yes, to expand what we're doing, I think is what we can take advantage of here with the technology. Okay, thank you. Oh yes, archiving is much easier also because, and again, that's true. We can videotape easily, and then we can keep things so people can, you can maintain the presence in a way. So even if somebody wasn't able to visit the session in live, they can view it later. So that's another thing that can kind of continue our mission. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to invite now Michael Fermanowski, who is going to talk about the Vietnam program. Michael, I see you're with us.
Okay, so I will share my screen right now. Good to see lots of faces, and the Kyrgyzstan group, it's like almost all of them are graduates of Vietnam. So that's fantastic. I'm mostly going to be talking about the future. It's not that I don't want to talk about all the wonderful things we've done, but I'm interested in what we're going to be doing and how COVID has affected us. So can everyone see? Is everything clear? Are we okay? Yeah. Okay, so then here we go. So just to give a very brief history, this is the first 15 years, which was all at Hue University College of Foreign Languages, and they tended to be 2, sometimes 3-day seminars. We did have some facilitator mentoring, matching up with undergraduates who would take care of us. And the average was around 7 to 12 participants, 1 student, 1 teacher for the facilitator system. And Bill and Joe were running it for a good long time. And then this is the more recent years after I took over. One of the things I did was I expanded it into 2 other places, Cantor University and a language school in Quang Tri, which is near Hue. And we reduced the length of the Hue event to 1.5 days. The other events were all 1 day. And we increased the number of participants and also the number of facilitators that were assigned to us during that time. So that was for 3 years. It was canceled at the last moment but we had about 6 in the end, but that was sad. But as you'll see, we did manage to do the Philippines. And now I think we're in a stage where we have to do some very serious rethinking about, for me, the whole of THT, but Vietnam and the Philippines are the ones that I'm taking care of. So, and one of the things is related actually to the webinar and the online seminars that are now freely available. So here's my thinking about why we need to do some serious rethinking of THT in Vietnam. Beginning with the first one is just the fact that the proficiency level of the teachers, many of whom have studied in Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere, they are now our equals. We no longer necessarily have that much to say to them that they don't already know. They've got MAs, they've got PhDs, and they're coming back to Vietnam from these countries. Secondly, their technical knowledge in many ways is ahead of us. When we first started to go online in April, I contacted one of my facilitators from Hue, who is just 23 years old, and she was already doing all kinds of things that I'd never even heard of, using Google Classroom and all kinds of things. And so, you know, it's a young population, and they sped ahead. In fact, there's even been some evidence that the overall proficiency level of English in Vietnam as a whole is higher than Japan. The third one is a very important one, and that is the access to webinars that Vietnamese now have, either from their own institutions like Viet TESOL, or from the US State Department or other places. They basically, to put it in a nutshell, you know, to put it very bluntly, you could be involved in a webinar every week for a year now without any problem. So there's absolutely no shortage whatsoever of information coming to Vietnamese teachers from all kinds of sources. The fourth one is they've got much more, you know, until COVID, they had much more access to Western and Asian scholars than in the early days of THT when Bill was around. So there's, you know, absolutely no shortage. Sometimes they have to travel a bit to get to them. So that leads me to number 5, the realization of the limitations as well as the high cost of the traditional THT model, which is something I've been thinking about. Before I get to that, here's just examples of endless webinars that are available to them. And Viet TESOL has really stepped up in the last 2 or 3 years. And they recruit these teachers, some of whom are Vietnamese studying in Australia right now or in New Zealand. Some of them have just returned. Here's a good example. You can see her background there, a USA-sponsored course. Okay. And these people are excellent. They tend to be around age 30 to 35 doing PhDs. And you can see this one was 18th of June, 2020. Sponsored, you can see the British Council, Viet TESOL. I'm not even sure what these others are. Then on top of the ones that are the Viet TESOL ones, they've got access to all the ones that the publishers put out, okay, which anybody can join. And then they've got ones put on by individual universities like Macquarie, which has a lot of ties to Vietnam. So again, you could do one a week without any problem. So this is my thinking about a proposal for a more sustainable THT going ahead. So the first thing is, I believe that in Vietnam and the Philippines, and of course people could differ from me, that we shouldn't necessarily go the webinar route for the reasons I've just outlined, that there are so many, and we can't necessarily offer something better than what they're already getting from webinars. After all, they can have webinars from the top scholars in the world. And good though we are not necessarily the best. So number 1, emphasize on mentoring and working closely with graduate students. This is something that I think we need to do. And this is assuming that we can go back in person in the future. Maybe in the case of Vietnam, it might not be till 2022, but I'm not sure. The other thing is reducing the collective expenditure in terms of money, bureaucracy, and time. I've estimated that the total cost of bringing the 15 teachers to Vietnam last year was between 15 and 20,000 US dollars. That's the total amount of money that's being spent on the conference. It's not being spent by me. Most of it's coming from Ken Cui and this and that source. And of course, people are also having vacations. But that is actually, you know, to be fair, that is the amount of money that THT is costing to put on, compared with a webinar, which would be, instead of being $15,000, might be $15 for somebody's fees. Also, in terms of the how long it takes to organize a major THT, I've been doing Vietnam and the Philippines myself for the last couple of years, and I think around 500 hours of preparation is not an exaggeration, taking everything into account. That's partly because 15 people. The other thing is, I think we in the past, we've taken anybody who wants to join, and I'm not necessarily against continuing that, but I think we need to focus on bringing participants with a proven record of training and publication and mentoring and committed to working with teachers. So a little bit like, I mean, someone like Roger, who's a kind of basically a professional teacher trainer. It's different from someone who's just a good classroom teacher and decided that they would like to come to Vietnam with us. And in the case of the Philippines, we're down to like 5 or 6 people who are pretty experienced, as Steve will point out. So this is my thoughts in terms of pre and post COVID. So I don't need to just read that, you can just take a look at it. So the first category is participants and skills. And this is what I envisage could happen in the future, assuming we can go back a smaller number. And we would spend more time in each venue working with local teachers. So it would also have, some elements of what they do in Laos, that Chris does in Laos. Okay, and then the amount of time spent there would be a little bit longer. I would never go for just one day. Has to be 2 days, and we'd have to have an agreement that we work with the graduate students. So you can see my idea of what would be different in the future. It's not radically different, but I think it's taking into account the situation. Of course, this does not preclude having webinars on top, but I don't personally think that webinars are a substitute for what we have been doing. So that's that in a nutshell. The rest of my presentation is just on what we did last year. So this is what in 2019, we had this arrangement. Here are the 4 places. And these are pictures from Cantor. I started Cantor in 2018. And as you can see, I think you probably know some of these people. Michael Carroll has been very, very dedicated to our group. That's Michael Carroll there and there. And this is a Vietnamese guy in Kumamoto who joined us. And this lady here is in Illinois. So we had somebody not from Japan. And there you can see 2018 seminar. That's the same one, and you can get an idea of the size, number of attendees. And there's Joe from, I think, 2018, and Steve, who's going to talk in a moment. And these are our facilitators. I doubled the number of facilitators so that actually we ended up having 28 undergraduates who were working with us. And I think that was quite successful. But of course, it takes a lot of time, and we wouldn't have anything like that under my new plan. And I think that's it. At this point, we're not trying to recruit, so can leave that aside. So that's it in a nutshell. And I think I should probably stop sharing if I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Okay. All right. I don't know if there are any questions or that that was fairly thorough. Your ideas though for the future are well taken. We do need to constantly kind of look at our mission. Of course, each country is different and each situation is different. So all those sorts of considerations need to be made. But I think, yeah, this year, 2020, if anything, it's also caused us to step back and given us the time to think about the future and about different ways to do what we do. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. I believe we have.
Steve was going to add something?
Oh, okay.
Was that right?
Actually,
Steve's going to talk about the Philippines.
Talk a little bit about the Philippines.
Yeah, so I'm going to, so Steve was signed up to kind of give us a little bit of word about the Philippine program.
Can I be made a co-host so that I can share?
Yes, I thought you were, but let me see if we can do that.
I keep getting a message saying that I cannot share.
Okay, well, let me see if...
oh, wait, now it looks like I can.
There you go. Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, so let me... Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I mean, some of what Michael's been saying about Vietnam would also hold true for the Philippines. The THT history in the Philippines is roughly for the past, I guess, 12 years or so, starting in 2008, mainly in the Manila area. And in fact, I got involved in THT in the Philippines when I was there from 2009 to 2010 in my sabbatical year. I was living in Manila and I was based at Ateneo de Manila University. And during that time, I had quite a bit of free time because I was doing research but not teaching. And I contacted THT to see, do you have anything going on in the Philippines? And lo and behold, I was told that just the previous year was the first year that something had, an event had been arranged with the help of April Alcazar, who is now the president of Pasig City University in Manila. And so I contacted April, and then with her, I was involved in part of the organization of the 2009 THT, which took place in Bulacan, which is just north of Manila. And so for those 4 years or so, we every year had an event basically in Manila. And then it was kind of off and on for a few years because we were kind of coordinating with other groups, both local and at the time, the BOLT organization, the Bosamo was it Outreach for Learning and Teaching. And so it was kind of co-coordinated, if you like, with some THT members participating and some who may not have been actually THT members. Now, what was interesting about those earlier years was that basically all of the local coordination that was taking place was through the local DepEd, the Department of Education. And so we were relying on the DepEd to choose the venue, the school, select the teachers, provide the meals for the teachers, the equipment for us, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the problem with that we discovered was that, as probably some of you know, the Philippines is a very politically robust kind of environment. And it goes hot and cold and up and down, and the politicians, local and otherwise, change. And when they do, current policies get thrown out and new policies get put in place. So we couldn't rely on DepEd to basically do the organization. So what we started doing is trying to arrange events with actual institutions, with universities. And our prime local coordinating person there was April, who during that time became the president of Pasig University. So that university became the focal venue for quite a few of the events that took place in the next few years. And finally, in 2018 was the first year that we really ventured out of the capital region area into the Visayas, which is basically central Philippines. And that was largely thanks to Daniel Miner and his wife's connections and his connections with people in Tacloban, Leyte. And so we had a very successful, lovely event at Holy Cross College near Tacloban with, as you can see, 6 presenters and about 80 participants. And that was, I think, a very successful event. And then finally, this year was the first year that we expanded our Visaya venues to 3 venues, a kind of major 1-week undertaking in the Visaya area, including the University of the Philippines, Cebu, Biliran Provincial State University in Naval, and Leyte Normal University in Tacloban. And that was with 5 of us, Brent and Michael and myself, and Daniel Miner and Kevin Dem. And that was actually a sort of a big undertaking for us. And it was rather a first to be out of Manila for a multi-venue event. And it was quite successful. And this was all arranged. I mean, Michael did most of the arrangement of this through the individual institutions, UP Cebu, Biliran Provincial State, and Leyte Normal University. And you can see roughly where these places are. And it involved basically 1 full week. And we did basically a day or so of event in each venue with 1 or 2 field trips or sightseeing days tacked on. And so that's what we did. And we were very lucky because in terms of COVID, we were just under the wire. It was really touch and go for a few weeks before the 3rd week in February. We really didn't know if it was going to be canceled or not. And they went ahead, and fortunately they were very successful. As you can see, some of the pictures, this is at UP Cebu. And the top picture on the right, the person on the left with the glasses and the white t-shirt, that's Aurelio Villabar, who is one of the deans or the heads of the graduate program in English language teaching at University of Philippines, Cebu. And he is an amazing bundle of energy, bundle of knowledge, and also, which is important for us, a bundle of connections. He knows just about everybody in the Philippines connected with English language teaching. And the woman on his left, next to him, that is April, who came to Cebu to join in our event. And you can see below, there's Brent presenting, Michael presenting, there's Michael with a few of the students. And I would say in the Philippines, as Michael kind of pointed out, I think for us, a possible future direction, and what I personally found probably most satisfying, was working with the graduate students, both on a kind of informal mentoring and also sitting in and acting as, if you like, evaluators and judges for their graduate level presentations. And I think that could be a very fruitful future direction for us, working with graduate students. And I know Aurelio is really keen on that. So I think that is a direction that we can be working with. From Cebu, we did a very lovely field trip to Olongo Island with Brent and his students from his university, who he took with him, and we visited sort of a center for underprivileged kids, a feeding program, and it was a wonderful day. And this is it in Biliran Provincial State University. There's, at the top picture in the middle, there's Kevin, myself, and Michael. And you can see the bottom left, those are the young teachers that participated in our event there, and a field trip on the following day. Now, one of the, I think, important issues in the Philippines, maybe unlike some of the THT destinations, is that the Philippines, I'm sure as we all know, is much more of an ESL environment, not an EFL environment. And in fact, from elementary school 3rd grade, almost all, the medium of instruction for almost all students is English. That said, especially in the provinces, the young people's English is quite weak. Many people in the Philippines are functionally trilingual with Tagalog, English, and their local language. And you know, a lot of people have been telling us that, in fact, for a lot of people in the provinces, their English is actually becoming weaker. So even though they are an ESL environment, I think there is a place for our expertise. As well, feeding into that, I would also say that many of the actual Filipino teachers who teach in schools, at colleges and universities are very well trained academically, but their expertise and their training are for what I would view as being very traditional methods of teaching language. And I think they very much appreciate our background and our approach of communicative methodologies in teaching language. So I think that there is still a place for that, maybe a little bit more than, as Michael was mentioning, there would be in Vietnam. Here at Leyte Normal University, Michael, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, we actually, here you can see bottom, Daniel Miner is signing an actual memorandum of agreement.
Yes, exactly.
With Leyte Normal University. So I think for us, for THT in the Philippines, this I think is an important future direction of actually undertaking and signing MOAs with individual institutions. And I think that could be actually very productive for us. So given that the events that we do with THT in the Philippines normally take place in February, it does not at all look likely that we will be able to hold a physical event this coming February, because COVID will probably still be with us. And so we don't, for reasons that I think hold true for the Philippines as they do for Vietnam, we aren't planning to hold a Zoom webinar. So we will most likely not be holding a THT event in 2021 in the Philippines, but we are very much looking forward to a 2022 event, which, you know, based on some of Michael's thoughts and issues about THT in the future, we will be discussing, I will be discussing with him. And I think Aurelio, who will be our host at UP Cebu, he also will be discussing with us. He's very, very keen to be working with us in the future. He is committed to working with us. As I mentioned, he has a very, very wide network of connections in English language teaching and English language education all over the Philippines. So I think we have a secure home there in the future. And I think we have a lot of possibility to expand our venues, probably both in the Visayas and also elsewhere in the Philippine Islands. For those who want to join THT in the Philippines, of course, not in the very near future, but in the next year, you can contact Michael in these ways. Michael will be discussing with myself, with Brent, with Daniel, and we will, I think, be very keen to organize a very productive, very fruitful set of events there in 2022. When people are interested, we will be asking them for, how likely it is that they'll be joining. Usually around mid-January for a February event is when we would like to begin finalizing. We would be asking what events they can join, because with a multi-venue event or 1-week trip, teachers are welcome to join one or more of the events based on their own travel schedule. We'd be asking them for tentative presentation titles to see how they would fit in with local needs for their biodata. So we would look forward to seeing everybody in 2022 in Visayas and perhaps also elsewhere in the Philippines. Michael, is there anything you want to add to what I've said?
No, not really. No, not really. The conclusion I've sort of come to on the webinar thing is different from the Philippines and the Vietnam. My reasoning is different. The conclusion is the same. It's that in both places, the physical presence and what we can do to mentor is what counts. It's different in the Philippines. It's much, it's that kind of a society, but the conclusion is the same. So that's the main thing I wanted to say today, is that for the moment, at least, we're not going to go the webinar route, I think.
Right. So if anybody has any questions for a minute or two, please feel free.
Could you stop sharing your screen?
Sure. Okay.
All right. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Stephen. Any questions on that? And also, I just need to double check, because of course we do have a Nepal program. We do have a program in Laos, very robust programs, but I don't think that the coordinators were able to join us this evening to talk about that. But if you check the THD website, you will find abundant information about those programs. Every program has had to adjust or deal with the COVID situation this year, but if you're interested in those programs in Nepal and Laos, please check the website, and you'll be able to also get in contact with the country coordinators for those programs, okay? All right, thank you. At this time, I think we'll need to move to our AGM, our annual general meeting. So that's the business side of us. And we only have about 13 minutes. And to be honest, that's all the time that we actually need for the AGM. So those of you who have visited for our forum, I'm very happy that you were able to join us. Please, think deeply about THT and what THT might mean for your future. And for our visitors from Bangladesh and from Kyrgyzstan, thank you very much, Henji and Dr. Khan, for joining us and sharing your information from your perspective of the THT partnership and friendship. So we appreciate the fact you could take your time and share your views. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
so we'll start the AGM then in about 1 minute. Okay, thanks. And I'm going to, I don't know if Trina is here yet or if she was able to. She had a kind of a work situation. So I'm going to share my screen again here. There we go. Okay.
She's here.
Oh, she is. Okay. All right. Hold on. Do you want to take over the meeting? That's the first question I have to ask.
Can I say something just before you
Oh, sure,
move
please,
on?
please, yeah.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if it's been communicated to you, but on the Eventzilla website, you can, after the conference, you'll be able to put like links and documents under your presentation. So
Okay.
if you want to upload any PDFs or anything, or especially links, there's a lot of really interesting information. So that might be helpful.
And why Gary's here, we should give him a big applause because he's the mastermind behind Eventzilla, and
okay,
is one
Brent,
of the
just as long as you give me a beer, I'm happy.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody. That was
right.
very interesting.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah, and Trina's not here. I think that's a different Trina, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right, then I will continue kind of running the next piece, which will be our AGM. Let me just, okay, I thought that was going to, there we are. Basically, we're gonna talk about the newsletter and the journal, our finances, which are actually pretty good, and then the officer elections, okay? So, oh, my spotlighted, excellent. All right, there I am. So what I'd like to do though is kind of put her on the spot first. I was wondering if Ann Howard would share a little bit about the newsletter because she's been working with us on that. So Ann, could you comment briefly about our newsletter and maybe any support you need from the membership to keep that going?
I believe, okay, so first of all, I'm stepping down this year. I've talked with Trina, and she's going to, Trina Takeichi is going to take it over.
Okay.
So going forward.
How often does it come out though? Is it?
Like in theory, 4 times a year.
Okay.
And not like at any particular time or space. So what I usually do, what the idea of the newsletter was that each country coordinator, what I've been trying to do is have each country coordinator send like a factual report, and then get somebody who's maybe like a new participant to write a more more interesting thing about the country and their experience and stuff like that. So it takes a while to get those all together, and then I try to stagger the countries throughout the year so that we have some content for newsletters. And everything just sort of blew up this past year because nobody was going anywhere and nobody knew what they were doing. So this I'll have to sort of talk with Trina and see whether she wants me to do another one or something like that. But I can help her with it or something like that. But I'm teaching so many extra classes this year; it's just not possible.
Okay, no, it's understood. But yeah, well, we thank you for your service, though, over the year. Yes. And I want to mention the journal. The journal, we originally, I would have had our applications or proposals would have come in, and I would have maybe had 12 or 14 of them on my desk in the spring. But because of COVID, because of people moving to online education, of course, I ended up with only 2. So I decided to extend. And then we did finally have quite a few of them come in. And now we've had 8 of them. Yes, 8 of them selected, gone through the editing process. And now my task as the journal editor, which I am continuing to be, is to organize that. I will say one thing that's nice about the publisher that we use, is that they had a new format available this last year. It used to be I had to use all of their software to create the journal, which took a lot of time. But the product was very good, I thought. But then they had a new system where I could kind of create it using their template. I could kind of create my own using a kind of more of a PDF version, which was easier, and I could do things much quicker. And the layout was basically, I think, maybe other than the cover, it was quite easy to put together. The cover took a little bit of time, but what was good is the price was more than half or less than half of the original cost. And we don't usually bind them, but we bind enough that we can give a couple of copies to each of the authors. And I also often kind of give them as presentations in Bangladesh. And if anybody ever wants to also get copies, if they're going to another program, I would just like to be able to kind of offer that as a gift to the hosts. Just tell me and I can order extras. But what we usually do is we put the PDF up on, I also get a PDF from the publisher, and I can put that up on our THT website and other venues. So people do get attention that way. And I know for Bangladesh, what's nice is that actually the universities there have decided they have a system of kind of ranking for journals, and we've actually been included in that. So it's considered quite significant if you get your article published with Teachers Helping Teachers. So there's quite a bit of interest. And one other thing that I should also mention is we are peer reviewed, double-blind peer reviewed, but we also take under our wing younger researchers and scholars. In fact, a lot of the people who are publishing with us, we might be the very first academic publication they have. And so we do a little bit of extra work with the editing. If the reviewers think, okay, there's potential here, we think it's a good idea, we think the research or the presentation of the lesson plans and all that are excellent, but needs maybe more work with the language and things, then we step in and we do that. So we want to encourage new researchers, maybe high school teachers, junior high teachers who've never published, to try to get an academic publication with us. And also we encourage THT volunteers whenever possible to maybe, combine forces with researchers from the countries that we're involved in. And so we've had some very successful publications and research projects from where people have worked together. Japan-based THT volunteer with someone maybe in Vietnam or in Bangladesh. And so that's kind of the ethos of the THT journal, again, being open, demanding high quality, but being willing to work with people to make sure that happens. So we spend the extra time and go the extra couple of kilometers for them, basically. And now our publication date for the journal, the PDF version, will be is going to be in December, per usual. But I've already kind of warned our authors that we might not be able to get the physical copies from the United States because shipping is taking forever until maybe closer to the spring. So everyone understands that. But I'm very happy. I wasn't sure if we could have a journal this year, but everything has worked out. And now we're successful in the sense that we've got the good quality papers and we can go to publication. Okay. Let me go on to just a couple of little bits of information that I must share with you. The finances. Okay, hold on. I just basically summarizing. This was provided by Steve Cornwell, our THT treasurer, who I don't believe was able to join us today. But we're actually doing quite well. As you can see, okay, we have 431,442 yen in our account, which is good. We will probably be discussing how that money should be allocated. We are also interested in being helpful with the money as far as providing, we talked about scholarships, we talked about support, lots of different avenues, I suppose, for us to help people with the financing that we have. As an institution, we really don't spend too much. So that's kind of nice, but we should probably try to use our money when we can to help help people in these countries that we're working with whenever necessary. All right, so anyway, that'll be a discussion for a later time. And the last thing that I would like to share is that we have a new slate of officers. Brent Jones will be the new coordinator. taking over for Trina. We want to, again, Trina's not here. We want to thank her for her service. Steve Cornwell will remain the treasurer. I'm going to be in charge of publications, which is the journal. Michael Stewart is going to continue membership, and Roger Palmer has taken on publicity. Okay. So I don't know if he wants to be, maybe I'll put him on the spot, but Brent, it might be a wonderful opportunity for you to give us your 3-hour, speech.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
won't be 3 hours. So,
okay,
so
3 minutes.
just to confirm, so
Yeah.
Trina was able to get some votes on the Google Doc.
Yes.
So that was decided. That was confirmed.
I guess so. These
right.
are the names that she sent me, so I'm assuming everything is fine.
That means I don't really have a way to back out now, huh?
No, you don't. We have your name written down here on my
Well,
board.
Yeah,
so.
the only thing I want to say is that, like, it really is, it does feel like big shoes to fill. I mean, starting with Bill, and then Pat, I know you did it for many years. Michael Fermanowski has put in a lot of effort, Joe Tomei, and I'll do what I can do to keep things afloat. But there was a lot of good ideas tonight, and I think we do need to evolve a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working with the different programs and seeing what we can do, and also helping each other, and it's been great. Like I said, I've been trying to get to Bangladesh for years and years, and to be able to participate online this year, it was a joy. It was really, really nice. So,
and I can say the same thing for Kyrgyzstan, because the same thing. We always had the kind of an overlap where it was too close and I couldn't get 2 weeks off from work. And so, it was nice also to virtually be able to give a presentation and work with the Kyrgyz teachers. So that was nice too. Okay, well, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Our time is really about up. We only have about 2 more minutes. So I just want to say, I appreciate the fact you joined us tonight. I want to thank everybody who gave presentations or talked about it. This was a nice event. I enjoyed hearing from everybody. And I'm looking forward to and hoping that we can meet in person next year, that this will all be over and we can we'll never probably be able to go back to life before COVID, but at least we'll be able to be in the same room and shake hands again and all of that fun stuff, right? Okay, so thank you, everybody. I appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks.
Thanks.